Happy belated Pride. Didn't see you there. It's weird being a trans person in the music space. I myself haven't really felt the need to write a queer, banger, but maybe that's just because I lack the ability to do it in such a lyrically well put together way as songs like Lovely Ladies by No Offense or Fuka Una Girl by Stomach Book. The one song I've made related to topics of my space in the LGBTQ plus community is Euphoric, but that's more of a personal account of my own gender expression and less of a song meant to represent anything to a wider audience of queer people. Lighter? Wow. It's always hard for me to put myself out there in that way, mainly because of the fact that I feel unable to write lyrics about the queer experience in a clever and genuine way. Some artists, however, feel an urge to incorporate LGBTQIA plus experiences into their lyrics, and some do it well, but some are not queer. So, right off the bat, let me just say that I'm just one person sharing my experiences, and I might say things in a way that misrepresents certain ideas or feelings I have. If you have corrections or better phrasing than I do, please feel free to tell me in the comments. Without further ado, let's start with Meghan Trainor. Meghan Trainor is a pop star that you probably know, but the context behind her music doesn't really matter all that much for this discussion. What does matter is her song, Mother. No, Meghan Trainor is not just referencing the fact that she's a parent, one who seems to dislike teachers, in fact.
Teachers, that was my trauma, teachers, you know.
Meghan Trainor is making a reference to queer slang. According to the Gay Times, quote, on queer Twitter in 2023, mother is mainly being applied to cis-het women with a certain pop cultural cachet and demonstrable queer appeal, end quote. So, now with that context, what was Meghan trying to do with this song? Other than make another bland pop hit that maybe makes it to the Billboard and gets her some cash, with which she won't use to support organizations like Donors Choose, which help educators support notebooks and pencils.
Teachers,
you know.
Her goal was clearly to gain a new audience, one of queer people. At first, this doesn't seem all that bad, but then you start thinking about how this song is presented to queer people. It's one thing for a few queer people to say, oh, this is a cishet woman who we love and respect. Her music has lyrics that we can relate to in certain ways. And then it's something else entirely when the cishet woman is saying, look, you guys like this stuff, right? Like, I'm saying the right things, so you'll monetarily support me and treat me like a pseudo activist and play my music at your parades, right? That's what's gonna happen here. Obviously, I don't think she's homophobic, nothing of the sort, but it's clear, or rather queer, how this song could be perceived as taking advantage of queer culture, even if she didn't intend it to sound that way. This song made many queer listeners cringe, and that included me. She was trying to capitalize on LGBTQIA plus listeners in a weird way. The song was clowned quite a bit on places like Reddit. User Cynical but spelled weird said, quote, we, the gays, do not honor her as mother. She could birth 20 kids, but she will never be a mother. Overall, this song is a clear example of how not to do queer music, which is quite interesting because that's also the title of this video. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that cool? Nice script, Aspen. How long does this bit go on? Next example comes from an artist who I'm sure I'll get some heat for discussing in a negative light. Taylor Swift is an artist that has come up in at least 2 videos of mine now. It's really hard to avoid her when discussing anything in pop circles. After all, she's massively influential, and her success reaches across many topics of discussion. In 2019, Taylor Swift released a single called You Need to Calm Down, which would then be on her album Lover. In 2019, I was still unaware I was trans, and I didn't fully understand what this song and music video was saying, other than, oh, okay, I guess she likes queer people or something. I'm going back to playing Super Mario Odyssey now, because that game rocks. In the last 2 or 3 years, this song has taken on a completely different image for me. The main critique I have of how it does LGBTQIA plus related songwriting is just how uncreative it feels. The instrumental is fine. I don't really have any opinions on that aspect, but the lyrics read less like a song and more like a PR statement saying, hey, just so you know, we think that the queers are A-okay. The entire thing feels overly self-congratulatory, and the music video further pushes that aspect. It just feels like she's high-fiving herself repeatedly for showing the cast of Queer Eye in her music video, or saying that she just doesn't like homophobes very much. The song overall brings nothing new to the table. Even if she was trying to make a protest song, it just kind of portrays homophobia as the big evil demon that we can defeat if we all come together, and not a force that is ingrained deeply both systemically and socially. Much like any bigotry, it isn't just the hate crimes that do damage, and it feels like she has a very privileged position on these issues. I would have liked this song better if it was just a tweet stating her opinion, but that isn't it. Another issue I've found with the song is how it compares Taylor's issues being a celebrity who some people hate to homophobia. If you've listened to this song before, that might sound a bit weird, but let me show you. In the first verse, everything Taylor describes centers around herself, such as "you're taking shots at me" and "you are somebody that I don't know." The first verse is clearly describing her own experience being hated on the internet. Pair these lyrics with the fact that the chorus says, "Can you just not step on my gown?" and the pre-chorus is much more Taylor-focused, and we begin to get the message clearly. The second verse is where I go back to my chair, and also where the perspective switches. Yeah, buddy. We know. In stark contrast, at the beginning of the song, the second verse begins with, "You are somebody that we don't know." The second verse also mentions a group of people parading, an obvious reference to pride parades, and a mention of GLAAD, spelled GLAAD, which is an organization focusing on queer media advocacy. This verse is clearly talking about the queer community, and homophobia at large is the you as opposed to Taylor Swift haters. The chorus also switches the lyric after the first verse, reading instead, "Can you just not step on his gown?" which I believe refers to the drag queens who are seen next to the music video. Overall, the switch between the two verses indicates a comparison between her being hated online and widespread homophobia, which are just wild things to compare. I'm not somebody of the opinion that any celebrities know what they sign up for when it comes to online harassment. At the same time, comparing a huge global issue to your problems that you got with a platform and billionaire status just seems kind of tone deaf. Sure, it sucks to get death threats online as a musician, but it also probably sucks to find it almost twice as hard to find a job just because you're trans. It's hard to have strangers online tell you that they hate you for no reason and wish horrible things upon you, but it's also probably hard to have your relatives kick you out of the house just for being queer. It's hard to feel sorry for a billionaire, regardless of who they are. Especially as his head billionaire, whose LGBTQ+ song has more streams than 40 times the combined streams of the two LGBTQ+ songs I mentioned before, which are both by queer artists. Both of the artists and songs I've discussed have been really bad examples of how to write a queer song, and I hope that my message hasn't been misconstrued. I know I joked about Meghan Trainor's comments on teachers an awful lot, but I don't hate either of these artists. I definitely hope no viewers of this video harass anybody mentioned. I don't want an environment that's fully negative over here on the Squiggles channel, and my goal is really just to joke around and talk about music. However, these songs are both pretty tone deaf, and it'd be nice if we could all learn something from them. It's not all bad though, and there's definitely some amazing queer music out there. I know Pride Month is probably past considering the schedule that I release videos on and how long I spent on this script. Still, supporting artists in the LGBTQIA+ community is a good way to show support, especially since there are so many queer artists who have some bangers, regardless of their queerness. I have to tell you, listening to songs like Garden Shed by Tyler, the Creator, after listening to the songs I discussed in this video as much as I did, was a breath of fresh air. I hope that it's been interesting hearing me talk about my opinions, and if you want to hear more, make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit that bell for all the content you could possibly need, or I will literally post your IP address on Reddit. No pressure, though. Thank you for watching, and have a good life. Bye. But wait, before you go, Magic Tricks is out. It's out on Bandcamp. It's not coming to Spotify. It's special and on Bandcamp, and you don't have to buy it. You can just stream it, and that's chill too. I think I have unlimited streams for it, so you can just listen to it as much as you want. It's just always really cool to have people experience it, and I worked really hard on it. So thank you. Goodbye.